Hey y'all, it's Renegade, and it's time to spill more Reali-Tea in another Reali-Tea retrospective. As always, this series will take a deep dive into some of the most popular shows that have finished here in 2024. We'll start with my spoiler-free review to give anyone who hasn't seen the show just a taste of what you're in for. Then we'll get into an episode-by-episode review of the most needed to be talked about moments. So let's get some discussion going in the comments below. In today's recap, we head to our neighbor up north for their latest addition into the Drag Race franchise, but this season there's a new twist that will change the way the game is played forever. Let me welcome you all to Canada's Drag Race Season 4. Now, Canada's Drag Race has become my personal favorite international franchise in the Drag Race series. Seasons 1 and 2 are among some of my most favorite seasons, and while Season 3 wasn't necessarily as strong as its predecessors, it was still a great season. With Drag Race fatigue becoming a real thing as it seems a new franchise debuts every other week at this point, I was initially worried that Canada's Drag Race was going to be seeing the same decline. I never should have had any doubts though, because the Canadian franchise continues to evolve itself in ways that have truly set it apart from the masses, as the Golden Beaver goes down as one of the show's most intriguing twists of all time. So, let's start out with my spoiler-free review. Now, as always, we start out with the format, and I mean, it's Drag Race. There's not really a whole lot here to it that's changed over the years, other than the fact that they have added a new twist this year. I'm not really sure necessarily if the mainline series of Drag Race is a place to add twists, because I feel like that's usually something saved for the All Stars franchise. But let me just say the Golden Beaver twist adds power to the game that shakes things up like never before. Instead of the judges deciding who out of the bottom three queens have to lip sync, power is instead given to the winner of that week's Maxi Challenge, which adds a very unique social element to the game. There's also a lot of strategy discussion, and we actually see alliances being made here, something we don't really see up until recently on the US All Star series, which made for a very fun and unique watch. I also love I also love the judging panel, and they're definitely the best non-Rue featured panel. Brooklyn Heights, Tracy Melshore, and Brad Goreski have such synergy together, and I really enjoy that everyone gets a turn in the hosting spotlight. Even some of the guest judges take their turn as well. So personally, never had a problem with the Drag Race format, and we'll give it an A. Now, my initial thoughts when it came to casting this year was honestly, I thought there was a little bit of crunchiness going on here in that everyone had some strengths, but everyone had some very glaring weaknesses as well. Let me just tell you that even though everyone may have not been the strongest in every aspect, I feel like everyone brought something to the table to show themselves. Everyone is pretty unique as well too, so I don't feel like I ever had trouble identifying who was who, especially after their initial introductions, and I really came to actually root for pretty much everybody, which is something I think Canada's Drag Race is generally well known for. And I think there is some really delicious drama that goes on here. So while individually I may not have featured everyone necessarily, they feel natural together as a group, and it feels like they understand that the competition has evolved to a new game. So I'd give the cast a solid A minus. Now, when it comes to the story and editing, I think that's where most of my criticism comes in for this season, but that's most shows in general, including Drag Race, specifically because Drag Race has a formula to their edit, and that doesn't really change. I will say the premiere does feel initially a little weird with the ball being first, but I like how they split it over the entire episode with some story mixed in each portion, so it does change it a little bit. The pacing was very well done as well too, and as far as how the show is formatted, and I feel like some other seasons have gotten really stretched out by non-eliminations. The sweet spot here with 11 and 12 contestants does feel like a really good spot for them to continue casting this many queens though for, because it feels like everybody really gets a chance to show themselves, including the first and second boots. And including the fact that you do have a non-elimination to start the season out, I think we really get a chance to really spend time with everybody here on this season. I also really lived for some of their shady editing moments, especially involving the week with one person in particular's freak out. If you know, you know. The editors for Canada's Drag Race really are starting to come into their own here, so I'll give them a solid B plus as far as it goes because I thought they held their own here. Overall, I really enjoyed this season. I still hold Canada 1 and 2 in very hard regard, but it felt like this was a very strong return to form for me for the series. The Golden Beaver twist was a very unexpected addition to the series that really kept me extremely invested, and I feel like it definitely paid off, especially that episode 4 Untucked. Y'all will have some tea to spill when we get to that a little bit later. Now, I will say the series did feel slightly short, but I did feel really entertained every step of the way, which is shows that you can really just do wonders with a smaller cast. I've always kind of felt like Canada's Drag Race has always really rivaled the American franchise, much like Big Brother does. but just because it feels like they have so much more love when it comes to the production of the show, and it feels like everything is so much more cohesive. I feel like in this season they really separated themselves from the pack truly. And I know we're getting ready for another Canada versus the World this year, possibly, which I'm very, very excited for. I will say my interest in Drag Race has been waning a lot, especially after that train wreck that was All Stars 8, and after some rather lackluster international editions. But personally, for me, Canada's Drag Race turned the series in a new, exciting direction that I'm very excited to see where it goes. And I give the series a solid A minus. So now that you know what the show is and what my thoughts are on it, let's get into some real tea, y'all. If y'all have seen the show, definitely suggest stopping here or use the chapter guide to go to specific episodes. We begin our premiere with Brooklyn Heights giving us an introduction, promising us a new era of Drag Race where the queens will have more power than ever before. To kick off the season, Brooklyn announces the premiere ball, where the queens will present 3 looks in hopes of impressing the judges. Things start off immediately when we learn their entrance looks are going to be judged, so there's this funny moment at the beginning of the episode where each queen walks in one by one, does their entrance line, and then a few poses, and then walks out. Like, what? I was watching this so confused at first. I think some of the girls are feeling the same way too, but eventually we get into it because it is a nice twist to the ball, since we get things spread across the entire episode while getting to meet the queens. Speaking of, let's get to our cast, shall we? Our 11 queens consist of Venus, a 27-year-old from Vancouver, British Columbia, who considers herself the uncut, untucked, and unfiltered queen of season 4. Her aesthetic shows a lot of skin and legs, but she's always untucked. At 6'6", Venus calls herself a two-spirit indigiqueer, or indigenous queer. We have Denim, a 24-year-old from Montreal, Quebec, known as the hairy trans icon in their jeans, describing themselves as campy, conceptual, and cabaret. We learn that Denim is not only the first trans man on Canada's Drag Race, but is also autistic. We have Kiki Ko, a 35-year-old from Ottawa, Ontario, describing herself as a classic fashion queen with a love for headpieces. She's originally from the Philippines and has made looks with past Drag Race alums, such as winner of Season 2, Isis Couture, as well as her drag daughter Kimmy Couture. Love you both, y'all. We have Luna Dubois, a 24-year-old from Toronto, Ontario. Originally from Nigeria, she considers herself the shadiest queen. She describes herself as a look queen, electric, eclectic, and ethnic. We have CC Superstar, 31-year-old from Montreal, Quebec, a goth bimbo back alley Barbie queen of the sewers as she describes herself. She says she's the crossroads of horror and glam, but she's sexy too. Think Elvira meets Jennifer Coolidge. We have Melinda Verga, a 44-year-old from Edmonton, Alberta, our first Edmonton queen actually, or as you want to call her, Daddy Mike if you're nasty. She considers herself high energy with lots of personality, but honestly, she may have the crunchiest look walking in. Like, what is that rainbow look, girl? Next, we have 57-year-old Kitten Caboodle from Toronto, Canada, the oldest queen ever to compete in Drag Race history. She calls herself the Pink Pussy Princess, 70s showgirl who loves Broadway, burlesque, and vaudeville. We have Near Enough, 22-year-old from Calgary, Alberta, who is a sex on heels performer. The only thing bigger than her lips is her ego, she says, and plastic is fantastic. It's also a hilarious moment where she rips off her skirt, and we should probably know moving forward, there'll be lots of unintentionally hilarious moments from Nira here. She tries to take herself a little too seriously. Next in, we have 22-year-old Aurora Matrix from Toronto, Ontario. She considers herself a baby pop star hyper femme diva of Asian excellence, and she considers herself a pro at dancing, theater, and lip syncing with a stamped mug. Next up, we have the Girlfriend Experience, 31 years old from Vancouver, British Columbia. She considers herself Daddy's favorite tea girl. Seductive, sexy, flirty, bubbly, and fun. She said her fashion sense is a mixture of anime superhero meets stripper, but she's always naked. Finally, we have Amy Yonce Chanel, 31-year-old from Ottawa, Ontario, who considers herself the Beyonce of Ottawa. Originally from the Dominican Republic, but has been in Canada for 6 years. She is a half-Black, half-Latin immigrant and has 3 titles, including Performer of the Year. Now, after the queens present their first looks, they are finally allowed to officially meet each other in the workroom for the first time and begin to make themselves at home. Right away, we learn Venus and the girlfriend experience are BFFs, and Nera joins them in the self-proclaimed pretty girl corner. And they've been kikiing about their competition, with Venus shading Aurora for having unfinished tiles on her skirt. Meanwhile, Aurora is bonding with Kiki Ko and Melinda Verga over their shared Asian background and having so much representation in the workroom this year, while Denim isn't worried about her competition, as everyone else is just, and I quote, pageantry, glamour, and bodysuits, end quote. Following their introductions, Brooklyn, Tracy, and Brad join us in the workroom where the premiere ball twist is officially announced and that they're already being judged. I mean, I personally judge everyone at all times, but that's besides the point. Now, the judges give out their first impression rosebuds, which ultimately means nothing, but at the same time, who'll say no to free rosebud? Brooklyn gives her rosebud to Denim, Brad gives his rosebud to Amy, and Tracy gives her rosebud to Venus. Now, Melinda is shocked she didn't get a rosebud for her rainbow catsuit, but girl, it's already episode 1 and the drag delusion is already real. Cece just blatantly tells Melinda she's going to be in the bottom for that suit, and Luna also shades the suit. Honestly, we're all shading the suit. That brings us to our second category of the night, shimmering showgirls. It has the queens show off their looks while working a 360-degree set. There is a burlesque aesthetic going on, allowing them to show off on a couch, in a room inspired to feel like a private stage with a Britney Spears Stronger chair there, and what any girl can't leave home without, a stripper pole. Highlights include CC Superstar smacking her head on the lamp and then falling over the sofa. Then we have the girlfriend experience, basically just getting naked. We also have Near Enough already in her head, thinking she self-sabotaged herself during the challenge. Now there's a nice moment following the challenge where the guest judges, Tegan and Sarah, get to come in and meet the queens in person, what feels like a very Drag Race US inspired moment to have the opening guest be a big name. We then get to the main stage where the queens walk the runway for the first time, showing off their me, myself, and I signature looks. When the dust settles, we learn that our tops are Venus, Kiki, and Denim. Now, Venus is in the top for being the most fashion forward, according to all the judges, so much so that Tracy gave her her rosebud, and it doesn't seem initially that all the other girls are all that pleased by her doing well. We have Kiki, who the judges feel embodies pure drag excellence, as she has a fabulous old school showgirl style that she made all by herself. And Denim continues to get high praise from the judges for her avant-garde drag having a high level of polish. We learn that our bottom three are Cece, Mira, and Melinda. Cece has no punk rock energy at all, even though she has a very punk rock look, and she's seen as very nervous and a very bad walker. We also can't tell if her moments in the challenge were intentionally funny or not. That leaves Cece in a very strange place where they don't know if they can take her seriously or not. Now, Nira is in the bottom for having a critique for her first outfit falling apart, and her constantly pointing out her flaws. But she's still seen as a performer, even though she had 3 corsets in a row. Now, finally, Melinda's in the bottom for her pride look, and her final look looking very pedestrian. But we've learned that Melinda's partner had a stroke before leaving, and she feels a little bit out of touch, and she's hoping to improve. However, there is a twist, and for the first time in Canada's Drag Race history, it's a non-elimination premiere. There's no bottom 2 this week. Instead, it's a top 2. And with that, Denim and Venus received the most praise on all 3 looks overall, and face off in the opening lip sync for $5,000. They end up lip syncing to Tegan and Sarah, Feel It in My Bones. Now, my eyes were on Venus the whole entire time until probably like the last 10 seconds, where it seemed like Denim showed up all of a sudden. Now, to be fair, the edit was mostly on Venus the whole time, although I am kind of inclined to believe this result just based off of the things that happened later in the season. So, Venus ends up winning the first lip sync and sets her up as the queen to beat. Will anyone be able to take her down? We start episode 2 as the queens react to the non-elimination premiere, but now the competition truly begins. And at this point, all 3 of the bottom queens feel like they need to step it up, but really all eyes are on Melinda and Cece as they are the perceived bottom 2. There's no mini challenge this week, as we get right into the maxi challenge, Q v She. In this improv comedy challenge, the queens will become on-air hosts and plug one of 4 products in 4 minutes. Not only do they choose the groups, but they get to choose their products. The products, the shade blockers, tip tits, the party poncho, and the fierce flat. Now, Melinda said she woke up at 4 a.m. to the shopping network, believing that this challenge was fate, and she was feeling pretty confident in her chances. While on the opposite end of the spectrum, we get Brooklyn shading Cece, saying that the flat is for her after falling in the last episode. Now, being that they do get to select their groups, Aurora, the girlfriend experience, and Venus group up immediately. And Nira is upset that Aurora took her spot from the group. The other girls think Aurora has more acting chops than Nira does. Venus gets to pick the selection order due to winning the first lip sync, so her group chooses the Tip Tits. They decide to go as Southern Belle route when Venus pulls out an accent, and it looks like they could possibly be one of the teams to beat. Venus decides to pick Nira and her group to go second, which is Amy and Luna, and they select the Party Poncho. Now, Amy is a little bit worried about her English being her second language, to which Luna says maybe we shouldn't have Amy talk that much, but Amy wants to prove how funny she is. She also shades Luna and Nira, calling them the kids, which makes me cackle because Amy is clearly funny, even if she struggles with the language. Now, Nira gets to pick who gets to select the next product next, and she selects Kitten's group, which consists of just her and Melinda. They're the only two there because Melinda said everybody ran away from her, and her and Kitten were the leftovers. They pick the Fierce Flats, and despite having the stigma of being the two oldest queens, they're actually really vibing together really well. Both are determined to prove themselves. Now, Cece wonders if no one wants to work with her, although Denim does have a prior history with Cece that attracts them to wanting to work with her. And with Kiki Ko, they get the leftover shade blockers. Denim is a little bit worried because she's not a comedy queen, but is also concerned that Cece is just not funny. And honestly, the worry becomes real when they start to begin the filming, as we learn the challenge will be filmed live with only one take. As someone who just started recording and still can't get things done in probably 12 takes, I'm fearing for these girls' lives having to do it in one. Now, with Team Shade Blockers, after their introduction, no one really seemed to understand what was happening at all. Like, what are they even selling? I don't think they even told us. Apparently, they forgot all of their lines, but it honestly doesn't seem like anything has been planned out whatsoever. We do have CC's iconic, "That'll do," but honestly, it was really bad. Like, I could see this whole entire group just being in the bottom alone just for that. Now, for Team Fierce Flats, Melinda and Kitten are so cute together, and Kitten is shining so hard as the salesperson. Melinda is kind of playing the straight man for Kitten, but they're so cute together, and Kitten has shown out so hard here. She even gets the girls laughing on the side, which definitely bodes well for her moving forward in critiques. Now, in the next group, Team Tip Tits, Venus is actually really funny as the host with her southern accent, and Aurora does well marketing the product. Now, the girlfriend experience initially starts out pretty funny as the customer, but then she keeps messing up her lines and falling out of it and just randomly laughing for no reason. Then she just stops saying things. And it's like, you started out so well, girl, just keep going, just get back in it. And she just seems like she fell out and lost all of her commitment moving forward. Finally, the Party Poncho group. Luna is the host, and she is so boring and monotone. Amy is actually pretty funny, but they really also, much like the first group, have no plan on what they're selling. They start talking about all these random uses for what the Party Poncho is, but it was described as a outfit that you put on under your reveal, which they literally didn't get to into the very, very last second. Now, I kind of really want to know who went first between them and the Shade Blockers, because they were both really, really bad. Again, in their defense, getting things right in one take is very difficult, but they're the professionals. I just get to sit on my couch and critique them, so I'm going to judge. Now, the next morning, Melinda thanks Kitten for working with her, while Cece thinks that everyone did their best, to which Venus shades her going, "Did we though?" Venus definitely thinks the shade blockers are in trouble, while Luna is also expecting to do bad since she definitely struggled as well too. Also talk about Canada's gay history, which is a cute moment for Amy because her, being the immigrant, knows all of the history, whereas a lot of the girls do not. So it's beautiful knowing that she's the newest Canadian and gets to show off why she got her citizenship recently. Now we head to the main stage where they present off their runway cat story based off of a particular gemstone. Each girl does a different one, and there are definitely some standouts in this category for a runway that I really enjoyed. As far as the judging goes, we learned that although they performed in groups, they will be judged separately. In our tops, Kitten, Melinda, and Venus. Now, Kitten gets amazing critiques for making everything look effortless and comfortable, and she closed it well with being the customer. Melinda gets very solid critiques for always being able to bring Kitten back in when Kitten got a little bit loose, and says that she was the best host out of the group. They say that Melinda really sold it, and Brooklyn even bought a pair for herself and for Tracy. Now, Venus, let me just say first off, her diamond mask, super cute outfit. I don't really get a lot into the fashion portion of it. Just wanted to point out I really enjoyed Venus's look here. She's given a lot of credit for her country accent and hosting abilities as well. Basically, the Southern Baptist Karen. Cece, the girlfriend experience, and Luna end up as our bottoms. And Cece first gets called out for her performance in the challenge, and then also gets called out for not wearing shoes on the runway, which is like, what? I think she might be the first person. Probably not. Don't fact me, check me on that, but first person to maybe um, inadvertently not wear shoes on the runway, which is a little cringe, Cece. What you doing, girl? Now, the girlfriend experience does get some positive critiques for her gorgeous girl look, but she wasn't making any sort of eye contact during her presentation. She gets critiqued for breaking character and then shutting down and giving up. Luna says she got thrown off by some of the lines not being hit, but Brooklyn calls her on it because she didn't even start out with any energy at all. And Raja O'Hara, which, by the way, love her as a guest judge, so uplifting, so positive, so fun. Raja compares her to BB Zahara Benet with her presence, which I would agree, but I would say BB definitely doesn't take herself as seriously as it seems like Luna does. So we learned that Cece, Luna, and the girlfriend experience are the bottom three, but they finally reveal the Golden Beaver twist, which again, the winner of this year's Maxi Challenge will win the ability to save one of the bottom three queens from lip syncing. So we learn our challenge winner is Kitten Caboodle, and she will get the first Golden Beaver decision of the season.
So we get back to the workroom where Kitten decides to hear our bottom three in order to determine who she will give her golden beaver to. The girlfriend experience is really sad and wants to show that she's more being sexy, whereas Luna, who says that she did all of her crying when she was younger, actually gives a very poised speech. Meanwhile, Cece, it feels like her confidence is pretty messed up, knowing that she's done pretty bad in the moment, and she actually tells Kitten to not give her the beaver and that she needs to fight for herself, being that she's been in the bottom once again. Now we get back to the stage, and Kitten has made her decision, stating that she's really connected with this queen, and so she's saving her. And she decides to save the girlfriend experience, meaning that our bottom two this week is Luna Dubois and Cece Superstar, and they will compete in the first lip sync for your life, which is to Avril Lavigne's "I'm With You." Personally, love this song, but I was not very impressed by this lip sync. Honestly, I do think it is a pretty difficult lip sync song at the end of the day, so I'm not going to blame them for it, and I think they did fine at the end of the day. Ultimately, Luna ends up outperforming Cece, and she did this really cool lip vibrating thing, which I think was pretty cool. So, unfortunately, our first queen to sashay away is Miss CC Superstar. That'll do. I mean, at least you get that there, CC. Anything going home first, that'll do. We return to the workroom at the start of the next episode following our first elimination, and there's a discussion on how the Golden Beaver twist will play out. There seems to be contention between using it fairly, according to the judges' critiques, or to make a move that will benefit the individual. Did we see some strategies starting to develop? The queens compete in the season's first mini challenge as Tracy interviews them in an improv challenge where they pretend to be the star of a new hit movie, The Godmother 3. Everyone does a pretty good job, but once again, the girlfriend experience cannot keep character at all and continues to just laugh and then gives up. Like, did we not just get critiqued on this girl? Melinda gives the most over the top performance, just acting completely nuts, and she wins the challenge. For winning the challenge, Melinda is rewarded by being one of the two team captains for the upcoming Maxi Challenge, while Luna is given the second captain role for surviving the previous lip sync. In this week's challenge, girl groups. Yard Pick'em, it's basically old versus young as we get the following teams. Team Melinda, Kiki, Kitten, Girlfriend Experience, and Amy versus Team Luna, Venus, Aurora, Nira, and Denim. Now, Denim is the last picked, but she's actually relieved because she didn't want to be on Melinda's team. She also gets the advantage of getting to pick the song for being the last pick, and she picks Heartbeat. By the love theme, the younger group calls themselves the Love Bugs and they get along instantly. During their song recording, Aurora stands out immediately for her quick rap, while Luna is shaded by her team for her "Baby, I'm in love with you." I mean, like, who knew Luna was the Barry White of drag? Let's be real, y'all. Mira and Aurora decide to share the choreography duties, and Luna and Denim struggle initially most with the choreography. However, the entire Love Bug group decides to make an alliance, which is like, ooh, the first real group alliance in the game is formed. A little shady, as it's just all the younger queens just teaming up against the older girls, but we'll take what we can get. The other team, Melinda is a little sad and disappointed that she didn't get the love song, and her team gets the song Heartbreak. They decide to go with a name that features their strength, the Vixens. Girlfriend Experience is again doubting herself, but she comes through initially in her recording, but she struggles getting Melinda's choreo. Like, she cannot catch a break, y'all. So sad. Now, they do complete their performances on the main stage, where the Love Bugs prove themselves as the stronger group, while individual members of the Vixens struggle. Queens walk the runway for their third category, Sunglasses at Night, and we learn that Melinda is the only safe vixen among a sea of love bugs. In the top, Aurora gets praised all around for her strong performance and high energy, and it's clear she choreographed her group to include a lot of her strengths. Denim continues to get great critiques for her looks, which this week is very Nymphia win, but make it a white girl. They also did a somersault during the performance, which cracks up the judges. Meanwhile, Amy is the only queen from the top in the Vixens, as the judges say, we all woke up when her verse started, and I have to agree. She's very much so giving Yara Safira energy, and she had some really hilarious lyrics in her verse here, like when she said she used someone once like a condom. Meanwhile, all of our bottom three consist of the Vixens, which is the girlfriend experience, who was way off during her choreo and once again just did not seem to be able to commit to her performance 100%. Kiki Ko also is in the bottom, who admits that she just did not give her all and gets critiques for having very surface level lyrics. And in a shock, Kitten Caboodle goes from top to bottom for not knowing her lyrics or her choreo very well. Our top queen of the week is revealed to be Aurora Matrix, and she now has to decide which of the bottom queens to save. Get Untucked. Melinda is heartbroken that three members of her team were in the bottom. Nira mentions that everyone in Untucked is shocked that Amy isn't in the bottom, which is the beginning of some drama between the two. Kitten is worried that she doesn't relate socially due to her age, while the girlfriend experience explains she feels thrown off her game because she relates very closely to her drag persona, and it's very hard to receive judgments on it. We get to the golden decision, and Aurora notes that it's likely to be a strategic game for her moving forward. She expresses that the girlfriend experience could keep landing in the bottom and would be one less person to worry about if she made it through another week. Well, she knows Kitten can do better, seeing that she just won a challenge. However, she decides to give the beaver to Kiki Ko as she respects her, but realizes she fell short this week and feels she has the fire to go further. So we have our second lip sync for our life for our bottom two, the girlfriend experience, and Kitten Caboodle, who lip sync to Tongue by Rev. Now things start out fun until it becomes very apparent that girlfriend doesn't know the lyrics. Oh no, girl. She's also having wardrobe functions up the wazoo. Like, she keeps messing with her outfit. Like, girl, like, stop, please. Kitten is doing so good, and her outfit really fits the song. So when the judges' decisions are revealed, they save Kitten, as expected, and sadly, we lose the girlfriend experience. Now, I actually really wanted her to do so much better, but I just think she lacked a lot of the confidence that she needed to do well here. I think when she said how her drag persona was basically herself, and she has a hard time dealing with critiques, is spot on because she took it very personally, and it definitely seemed to throw her off her game. It just seemed like she had a lack of focus as well too. She was always falling out of character in acting challenges and just not committing 100% when the time is needed. She did have some amazing looks, so I would love to see if she can gain the confidence and come back for another season. But unfortunately, the girlfriend experience will be our second queen to sashay away this season. Now we start episode 4 as the girls mourn the loss of girlfriend, as Kitten jokes that she saved her the week before just to send her home the week after. This is an amazing moment too, where Kitten cannot read the mirror message either. Forever the what? uh, Kiki says, "Get ready." because she's about to unleash, but Aurora feels like she's the top competitor right now. Denim was shocked that Kitten wasn't saved, but Kitten is okay with it because she feels like she gets to save herself and resolve things on her own. The girls joke the love bugs won the challenge, but Amy calls out Luna that she didn't enjoy her performance. Luna shades Amy back, and oh my god, and Amy just not caring, saying what she wants to say to anybody, and just whatever she has on her mind at the moment. Kind of loving you right now, Amy. Now, the subject ends up shifting back to the topic of strategy, as Nira has strong feelings that no one should have the beaver twice. And while we know openly the girls of the Love Bugs have a group alliance, it's revealed that Denim and Aurora have an actual side alliance to work together and are ready to play strategically. Now, after setting up all of these good story plot points, we get to the mini challenge, hosted by Brad. Photo shoot, the gag is, they do a confetti jump scare in the middle of it and scare them, which is kind of hilarious. Venus reveals at this point she's a signed model, but it's Nira who wins. She had the most LOL reaction to everybody here, and I agree she had the best picture overall. This leads us to the Maxi Challenge, which is our first design challenge, using a bunch of Brad's old hand-me-downs. The challenge, Luna thinks she has an advantage since she has gone to fashion school before, but Kitten and Kiki are actually known for making costumes, so they think they have the advantage. And despite being the fashion queen, Denim actually doesn't know how to sew. Actually, a lot of the younger girls are saying they can't sew, like Aurora or Venus. Nira decides to go full hot blue, while Denim is trying to crochet her outfit, which is, I think, first in Drag Race history. Meanwhile, Melinda has this weird moment where she's visualizing her outfit. She said she's also been to fashion school, and she's just sitting there staring at the fabric in this really ugly coat while sitting on the floor. Like, girl, what? um, Melinda's a little thrown because she feels like she's never had any of her style questioned ever, and Bradley definitely questions it through her run through, which definitely throws Melinda off her game. Venus also gets some rough advice from Brad that her bar is set much higher than everybody else's and feels even more pressure to perform when it's noted a fashion style editor from Vogue is the guest judge. They present their out of the closet creations on the runway, and after the safe queens are sent back to Untucked, we learn that our tops are Kitten Caboodle, Kiki Ko, and Denim. Kitten looks really cute in the pink and has a really nice mix of items, while Kiki Ko creates a really pretty gown. Red is really impressed with a lot of her design choices, like using the weight of the crystals on the bottom of her gown when she ran out of the lining in order to weight down the gown. And Denim's crochet look turns out really successful and very unique. The sleeves are very cute and are giving me Willow Pill. Meanwhile, our bottom three are Amy, who went for this look inspired by Tao's, which was brave to say the least, but wow, this is giving Jiggly Caliente taking a bath. Melinda gets a lot of negative critiques for her repurposed suit jacket dress, as they don't feel she elevated it enough or really changed the garment. Nira is the third member in the bottom, told that while she sold the outfit, it's not very polished at all. She's told her concept is about halfway there, and the bottom half just seems like a complete afterthought. When the results are revealed, it's Kiki Ko, last week's Golden Beaver recipient, who is this week's winner, and will get to give out a Golden Beaver of her own. Will she save from Amy on Chanel, Melinda Verga, and near enough? Now back in Untucked, Luna asks Venus and Aurora for an official alliance, and Venus confirms she's all about the love bugs, including Denim and Nira, and they'll always save each other first. When the top and bottom queens enter, Nira starts out by making her pitch, wanting to be saved over the others, and is pointing out that Melinda is just not polished. But Melinda is in such a piss poor mood at this point, she's clearly offended by her lack of praise from the judges and starts to rant about her critiques and what is about to be an amazing, iconic drag race moment. She's feeling like she's being used as a punching bag for not being runway worthy, and has a moment where she's feeling like she's gonna quit. She just storms out of the room temporarily, and I'm just losing my shit right here. Now, what makes this all even better is that the editors are clearly loving this moment and are being so shady, flashing back to her in the workroom the day before, saying she's gonna take it all in for the critiques and then having her react like this. Like, editors are having a field day right now. Now, Amy, not one to also be outdone by someone else's moment, also has her own moment of weakness and pleads her case to Kiki as to why she should stay, which causes her to cry and then Kiki to cry. But ew, I fall out of the moment as soon as Amy just starts to snot everywhere, and I'm just like, oh no, someone get this girl a Kleenex, please. Now, shit escalates all of a sudden to a 10 as if we weren't already there already, when Nira, clearly just not fazed by Amy's emotion, instead decides to clock Amy on her towel look and sets Amy off. They start going after each other, culminating with Amy telling Kiki to just save Melinda and to let them battle it out, to which Nira clocks Amy again, saying she doesn't even know how to split. Like, oh my god, this is TV gold, flashes me back to the old days of Untucked. This is amazing, amazing. So happy I got to witness this. Main stage where Kiki has to make her own Golden Beaver decision and decides to save Melinda, prove that she's not a punching bag. First off, thank you, Kiki. Not only was that shocking, but thank you for giving us the showdown that we need right now. We all were asking for this for the last at least 2 minutes that we found out that since this fight has happened, then Amy and Nira hate each other, and we're like, yes, we need this to happen, so thank you, Kiki, for allowing this to happen. So we get our lip sync of Amy, Beyonce, Chanel versus Near Enough in Come Through by Priyanka Lemon, and I love this song first off, and this lip sync was pretty good. I loved Amy's emoting, and I think she hit the lyrics and the lip sync aspect much better. But I have to admit that Nair was just constantly moving and spinning and tricking that I have a hard time saying who wins. But I do edge Nira, and I wouldn't be shocked if she stayed. And yep, after the results are come, and yep, after the results are given, Nira is safe, not shocked. And as we are about to say goodbye to Amy, I'm really sad because she didn't know how to split, and I'm about to count my blessings when all of a sudden, hold up, it's a double shantae, y'all. So happy. Ultimately, again, very happy. While the season is feeling very coded right now at this moment towards the younger strategic queens, I do really enjoy Amy, and she's been giving a lot more depth than someone typically of her archetype as an English as a second language queen gets. And normally I would complain that we're 4 episodes in and only two people have left, but this episode really starts to escalate things and change up the storyline. And wow, the preview for this next episode looks nuts. Will it deliver? Let's find out. Start out episode 5 with the aftermath of the double Shantae, and there's a little bit of discussion between Amy and Nira having a personality conflict, even though Amy doesn't really seem to care. Most of the girls thought she would be leaving, so there's definitely some tension there. Now, the biggest LOL is them talking about Melinda almost quitting, and her now saying she's realized her presence is bigger than herself. She's now here to fight for everyone who believes in her or everyone that she's helped out in the challenges. Then she starts to get a little shady when she calls out Denim for not saying anything about how Melinda helped her finish her garment. The editors are getting really shady with the 43 minutes earlier thing showing her last episode. I'm like, the editors are just having so much fun with Melinda right now, and Melinda is giving. Venus then questions why Kiki saved Melinda, with Melinda quipping that they have an alliance. Luna LOLs that she had a quick turnaround, and Venus is then pissed at Melinda. The girls criticize Melinda harshly, and Venus and Denim get really angry at Melinda, and she walks off yet again. And just when we think things have been escalated high enough, Amy again decides to just put the cherry on top once again and blow the roof off the workroom when she starts coming for Luna's outfit. Like, these girls just can't stop. Next morning, I was hoping to see some of the tension just for drama purposes, but it seems like everyone's put things aside and made amends with each other, especially when Melinda and Venus apologized to each other. So it's like, oh, yay, they're sisters, but boo, that resolved itself far too quickly for my liking. Now, anyways, we get to the next mini challenge, which is the reading challenge. The library is open, y'all. Everybody does fine until we get to Denim, and wow, Denim goes in hard. Denim ends up winning, and we learn a lot about Denim's struggles with autism, which was a very nice touch. That leads us all to the quintessential drag race challenge, Snatch Game. And in what seems like a normal Snatch Game drama at this point, where we see two queens fighting over each other doing the same celebrity as Nira and Kitten, are both doing Jennifer Coolidge. Nira is trying to get Kitten to do her second choice, but Kitten is very passionate about this, so actually, I think this might be the first time ever we get two of the same character at once. Spoiler alert though, Kit ends up being way better than Nira. Brooklyn ends up getting on Luna to give her more, and she doesn't want to tell her anymore. So She's hoping that her Mary M. Cosby, housewife, serves as much as possible. Venus initially wanted to do Fran Drescher, but seems to be better as Joe Exotic, even though she says she has not prepared Joe at all. A little worried about Kiki as well too in her walkthrough with her Elizabeth Taylor choice. And spoiler alert, it's definitely right to be. Melinda has chosen to do Manny Pacquiao, which turns out to be really funny. Amy does Jesus, which also turns out to be funny, even though more so intentionally so. And Denham does Julia Fox, which who? Um, can I be real though? Denham is not even in the edit though. After her introduction, it may be one question. Not sure what that's supposed to mean there, conspiracy theorists, but you know, is what it is. Finally, we have Aurora, who does Emperor Zhao Bing, who was an emperor who was like 6 and only ruled for like 300 days or something along those lines. And she kind of gets really repetitious, just repeating the same joke over and over again, and it's kind of crunchy. The next morning, Linda gets very high praise from the other girls, while Kiki, Aurora, Denham, and Luna all seem very worried, very justifiably so. They end up talking a lot about cancel culture. Melinda is very honest at this point that she's very worried about how she's going to be viewed after her meltdown last episode. And it's a very real moment that makes me really start to like Melinda. She just seems very passionate about what she's doing, and she's putting her entire self into it. And I do think her husband's condition is likely contributing role that exacerbates her intensity in the situation. We get to this week's runway, steampunk, and wow, does everyone do really well this week. Denham, Amy, and Nira are revealed to be as safe, and we get to the critiques. We learn that our tops this week are Kitten, who really embodied Jennifer Coolidge's spirit, and because she did better than the other Jennifer as well. Melinda gets high praise for delivering a 1-2 knockout punch, and for her Mike Tyson Jesus joke, which was pretty funny. I also think she looks the best that she has all season, which, way to go, Melinda. Finally, Venus has this really cool look where smoke is coming out of her mask at the start of her walk, and she did a really good job according to the judges and gets really high praise for staying in her character of Joe Exotic, despite not having prepared it. Meanwhile, our bottom three consists of Kiki Ko, who really couldn't give any of the essence of Elizabeth Taylor whatsoever, Aurora Matrix, who just kind of repeated the same one joke over and over that just never seemed to go anywhere, and Luna Dubois, who was once again critiqued for just being very reserved. The worst part of Luna's performance, as they point out, is the fact that she's playing a housewife who is a woman of God, and she's literally sitting next to Jesus and didn't even acknowledge him, which is like, oof, that's kind of a snatch game sin there, Luna. Um, After the critiques, we learned that Melinda Verga holds all the power to save either Aurora Matrix, Kikiko, or Lena Boaz from elimination. Back in the workroom, we hear the pleads from the other girls. First, Luna thinks that she's been improving and that she didn't get saved from the first time that she was in the bottom three, so she should be saved now. Aurora feels she proved she deserved to be here and that her critiques were not the worst of the bottom three, thinking that's why she should be saved. But at a very shady moment, Nero reminds Melinda that she has the power to make a big move and can remove a big player if she feels threatened. Could that big player be Aurora? Kiki notes she was saved 1 week by Aurora and was in the top spot last week, but wants Melinda to not feel obligated to save Kiki just because she saved her last week. To which Melinda says she's not playing best friend race and does not feel indebted to Kiki. But then we get to her decision, and Melinda just blatantly gives Kiki the Golden Beaver for saving her last week. So, okay, Melinda, sounds good. So we have our bottom two officially of Aurora Matrix and Luna Dubois, and they lip sync for their life to "She's All I Want to Be" by Tate McRae. And they're both kind of turning it, but Aurora feels like she's at least 1 or 2 levels up than Luna is. Let's say if Luna is at like a 7, Aurora is definitely at a 10. Also, Luna's face is really not emotive at all. Aurora's Shantae's, Luna is eliminated. And honestly, I do love Luna's wrinkleness. It's very Bibi Zahara Benet, as she has this really cool sense of style, like Posh Spice. But otherwise, she just didn't really have any other levels that she was willing to go out on the show. And so we're dancing out to the music and getting ready for the next episode when all of a sudden, Brooke cuts the music to announce that next week will be the lip sync slay-offs. And it will be a double elimination. What? I'm intrigued and excited and a little bit wet. Following the announcement for the slay-offs, the girls go back to the workroom to Kiki about the night. Amy continues to stir the pot and says she didn't see Melinda saving Kiki coming, Nira hates it and doesn't feel like they're there to win. Being the oldest queen in Drag Race history, Kitten is not excited at all for the slayoff, saying that if she death drops, she probably won't get back up. While getting ready for the main stage, Venus reveals her struggles with eating disorders and trying to stay skinny, while Denim discusses the dysphoria between their drag persona and their new trans body. But enough of the character development because we have some lip syncs to slay it off. Now, how the lip sync style will work is if you win your heat, you advance to the next round. If you lose, you'll automatically be put up for elimination. And to decide the matchups, everyone's name has been put into a poll that guest judge Winnie Harlow will draw one at a time. If your name is selected, you will then select your song. If someone has already picked that song, then you will face off against that individual in round one of the lip sync playoff for your life to determine whether or not you are up for elimination. Now, Denim ends up going first and picks I'm Not Here to Make Friends, even though she knows all the words to the Shania Twain song. Melinda decides to go for the Shania Twain song, Unafraid, which might have been a good choice for Denim there earlier. Venus decides to pick a slower song so she could save her energy for round two, and everyone is worried about Aurora, and she picks to face off against her alliance partner Denim, which is like, holy what? Amy initially wanted Sam Smith, but decides to take the Forever Dreamer. Nira, feeling like she has unsettled business, thank you for the Kill Bill reference, decides to pick Amy. Wow, thank you for round two. Now, Kitten doesn't want to go against Melinda, but she has to pick Shania Twain to be true to herself. And then Kiki gets the last leftover spot by doing the Alanis Morissette song against Venus. So we know the stakes are a double elimination when we get right to the lip syncs, which, again, first we get Melinda versus Kitten in That Don't Impress Me Much by Shania Twain. Kitten is really good at emoting, but Melinda is doing some tricks actually and is taking a lot of my focus. Um, Although I will say the way that she lands on a lot of her splits is a little weird, kind of like she needs to stretch out her knees a little bit more, but I do understand. She holds her own here. That means our first queen up for possible double elimination is Kitten Caboodle, which is just like, holy crap, how the mighty have fallen. Round two, we get Denim versus Aurora, which again, still shocked that Aurora picked Denim at this point. I thought they were supposed to be allies. Anyway, their song again is I'm Not Here to Make Friends by Sam Smith, Jesse Reyes, and Calvin Harris. And let's be real, Aurora is killing it. I'm not even really paying attention to Denim during this lip sync, although I will say about halfway through, once again, Denim turns it up, which seems to be her style that she plays it slow. And about halfway through, she starts tricking around. But honestly, Aurora's moves are just so much more entertaining, and they feel much more intentional than Denim's. So, Aurora wins, and Denim becomes our second queen for possible double elimination. Get round three, our rematch of Amy Yonsei Chanel versus Near Enough in Fever Dreamer by S.G. Lewis, Charlotte Day Wilson, and Channel Tress, which I'll be honest, never heard this song before, but it's pretty catchy. And Nira killed it. There's no contest here. Amy was doing her best to keep up, but Nira, she killed it. And then again, she shades Amy for not being able to split in front of the judges. Like, girl, she she's like, not only have I slayed Amy, but I'm taking her head as a trophy. Nira wins, and sadly, Amy, Beyonce, Chanel becomes our third queen up for possible double elimination. Our final lip sync in the first round, which will determine who will be our final queen up for double elimination, is Uninvited by Alanis Morissette, and we have Venus facing off against Kiki Ko. And Venus is definitely feeling the song way more than Kiki is. Like, what in the Phantom of the Opera is Kiki doing? She's blaming it on her look, but I don't feel it, and I don't think she was feeling it, and I don't think you could blame it on the look 100%. But I do think the fact that her look didn't match it made her fall out of it pretty much immediately. Venus wins, expectedly, and Kiki Ko, unfortunately, is our final queen up for elimination. But the lip sync playoff is not over yet, y'all, because we have our semi-finals. Starts off here with Melinda Verga versus Aurora Matrix in Boys Wanna Be Her by Peaches. Now, there's a lot of rock songs tonight. Definitely kind of shocked, but I do know Canadians love their rock songs. And wow, Aurora can move. I was not expecting her to go off like this. And then Melinda started to catch up about halfway, and I'm like, wow, she ended really strong. Who is going to take it? I do think they were right that Aurora wins because she was strong throughout versus, like I said, starting slow. Some degree works. I think it depends on the song, but if in a rock song like this where the energy doesn't feel like it changes from the start to finish, I definitely think Aurora keeping the energy throughout was much more impressive. Definitely respect her win. She moves on to the finals, and in our next matchup, we have Near Enough versus Venus, doing Pull Up by Keys and Crates. Interesting choice for a lip sync song, I will say, but they both did well. So there that is. Venus was good, and I loved her outfit, but they're right that Nara just has this really slow mo stripper seductiveness that's really cool, and she definitely has had a glow up in her makeup. So I do understand when they decided to crown Nara the winner of this matchup, but Melinda and Venus are both safe, and that means that our final round comes down to Aurora Matrix and Near Enough. Oh my god, what in the juju? It's Black Velvet by Atlanta Miles. Clearly, I don't know if it'll ever be as iconic as, again, Miss Jujubee, her drunk feeling this lip sync, will be ever in the history and burned into my mind, but let's see how they do here. I'll be honest, in my opinion, Aurora won this. It was such a great lip from both of them, but my eye was generally going to Aurora. But I do understand that they do like Nira, so I do get their kind of perspective. Let's give to Nira. I also kind of like this whole idea of like, let's just fuck things up. Just give it to Nira, who holds all the power. Which of the bottom four will be safe tonight? And those of the three who will not be saved will have to lip sync, meaning two out of Amy on Chanel, Denim, Kiki Ko, and Kitten Caboodle will be double eliminated. And Tug starts off in hilarious fashion as Amy starts out by fake congratulating Nira and saying, "We're all besties." Oh my god. I love you, Amy. You are giving me so much life. Meanwhile, Nira asks anybody of the bottom four who wants to lip sync and prove themselves, which nobody stops, which is like, duh, girl, like, who would? Don't be surprised, Nira, which Nira is still surprised. Now, Denim is pissed off because she thought she gave the best lip sync out of the four that were remaining, and Aurora also is pushing for her ally to be safe. Even though, Aurora, you did put Denim in this position to begin with, so let me just remind you of that. I guess you're doing your best to help your buddy out, so I do get that. And Venus also supports the love bugs all staying in, saying she wants them all to do well, and they are kind of subtly pushing Nira to save Denim. Now, Kitten also says that she wants to show herself a little bit more, saying that she's going to do better in like acting challenges, which makes Nira call her a potential threat. She also sees Kiki's looks as a threat, and she's been having nothing but drama with Amy, so between the four, we are not surprised when Nira decides to save the other love bug, Denim, and leaves the last three vixens to fight it out. We get Amy on Chanel, Kiki Ko, and Kitten Caboodle lip syncing to I Will Love Again by Lara Fabian. And I'm not sure if anybody really outperformed anybody else. I was looking more at Kitten myself, but she also wasn't doing any sorts of like splits or kicks or anything special. So at the end of the day, Kiki Ko, Chantays, and oh my god, I am gutted to lose both Amy Yonsei Chanel and Kitten Caboodle in the same episode. Like, this was just rude. Amy was hilarious, and Kitten was just such a sweetheart that I couldn't help but root for them. And this is a little saddening since they were two of the best fixins for me, for sure. Especially because Kiki is kind of meh to me at this point in comparison, but I do understand because she is more polished than both of them. So, Kiki, here's hoping that you just turn it up moving forward. But in yet another twist to end the episode, the Golden Beaver is officially retired for the rest of the competition, and regular Drag Race rules have been reinstated. The girls react the next morning to everybody just being happy to survive this layoff, and everybody being sore from throwing themselves around the stage. Everybody notes they can no longer rely on the Golden Beaver, while Denim quickly realizes she's the only one in the group without a Maxi Challenge win. Now they have a mini challenge, which is called Just a Tip, where they have a sex and relationship call and advice show. They have to be informative and help by also being funny. Now, Nira is so bad at this. She ends up stop reading the teleprompter at one point, especially in the beginning, and she looks back like, huh? What? The lines are open. What are you talking about? Like, or like, did you not know that that challenge is a call show? Nira is so ditzy. I love it. But she also has this comment where she's like, in order for me to stop finishing early, I would think of my grandpa. Oh, oof. Okay. Okay, girl. Well, it's always nice to know that bottoming is not a demanualizing thing. Near an intentional comedy gold. Venus is also pretty good. She's a good mix of comedy and the information, whereas Denim breaks character a lot. Kiki is really trying, but she's not that good. Aurora is pretty cute, but she's not very informative. I would say Melinda is probably actually the most informative, but I think she forgets that she needs to be funny as well too. So ultimately, the person who ends up blending both comedy and information better is Venus, and she wins the mini challenge. Now that leads us into Brooklyn, revealing our next maxi challenge, which is the Rusical from Drags to Riches, the unofficial Brooklyn Heights Rusical. Well, I was waiting for Brooklyn to do her own musical. I'm fine with this though. So we're gonna go through the parts here one by one, starting from each scene, moving forward, and then kind of get into some drama. Scene one, we have Melinda Verga doing the youngest interpretation of Brooke in "I Don't Know What I'll Be Famous For Yet." Now, leading into this part here, Nira, Denim, and Melinda all want that opening act as it is the youngest character. They do an audition, and it feels like Melinda does try the hardest at that point, and she gets the role of the 7-year-old ingenue. But she actually initially struggles with some of the ballet moves during the initial choreo phase. But during the performance, I really thought Melinda did really good. Her face is always very emotive, but I'd say her footwork is just a little crunchy. She gets really good critiques though for her energy, commitment, and her musical theater elements, but kind of gets critiqued on her runway look again. Now, our second scene is Aurora Matrix playing Brooklyn Heights' Sugar Bump Fairy era, which Aurora says she's actually a musical girl and she's ready to show off her skills. So she takes the second number as the ballet character, even though it's a risk because she's never actually taken a true dance class. Her choreo is really technical and seems pretty difficult. I will say though that the actual performance turns out to be pretty hilarious. There is some random moans of Brooklyn Heights in between, even though this is really technical ballet. It's giving me Marsha's talent show. It was really cute, and Aurora did really great. The judges gave her praise for her elegant movements learned in such a short period of time, and I would agree. We get to our next scene, which is Kiki doing Do You Want to Show More? Kiki initially wanted to do the opera portion of the musical because she said she'd be good at it, but then she decided that she wanted to do something different and decided to do the third role, which is the cabaret role. Now, Nira thinks it's dumb to not stick to what they know, and to some degree, I kind of feel that for Kiki here. Now, Kiki does feel like she can relate to this role because when she just started drag and everyone has been in this crunchy state, she feels like she could relate to that because it's something universal. Kiki has a cane as a prop, and during her choreo, she's really struggling to incorporate the jazz element of it. Now, at this point, I'm just really ready for Kiki to impress or go home. And I feel like she's just really struggling throughout her performance here. It just doesn't feel like she remembers a lot of the choreo or the words, and then her hat randomly falls off, and it's just, oof. The judges do agree, but they do praise her for continuing through it without losing her cool, which I do agree. Kiki said she's just ready to lip sync her way to the finale, and at this point, Kiki, I think that's what you might be doing in order to get yourself there. Now, scene four is the pop star version of Brooklyn, and the group really wants Near to take it because it seems like it's going to be the hardest role with the hardest choreo. So now Near says she's okay with challenging herself and not sticking to what she knows. I mean, girl, like make up your mind. Like, what's the best plan of path here? Okay, girl. Then she goes off and saying that she feels typecast. Nira Your delusion is giving me so much life. I'm loving it though. But in her performance of I'm gonna win a drag race, her choreo, she actually says that it doesn't feel like it's as hard as it's noted, and she feels like she's pretty confident. Ultimately, though, she kills it, obviously. I will say this is probably the best song in the number so far for me, and there is real movement here, which is just flawlessness here. She's really coming together, especially at the end of these performances here, at the end of these dance songs. So I'm kind of like, uh-oh, is Nira like about to slay this competition here? Brooklyn also says she sees herself most as a performer in Nira, then critiques her for bringing the same kind of energy as last week and hoping that she was going to do a different number. So, oh, Nira, I do kind of understand now why she was going back and forth through it, but girl, make up your mind. We have the fifth scene, which is Venus doing the opera portion, which is Madame Butterface's Lament. And Brooklyn thinks it could be a risk since sometimes Venus does overdo it sometimes. I think he's relating back specifically to her uninvited performance last week. But I kind of actually really like this moment for here for Venus. There's this really funny moment where there's this Evie oddly masked that just kind of pops out of nowhere, just being Evie and haunting, and I'm loving it. But this whole performance is just really fun, and I love her look. Brooke also notes that she restrained herself during the actual performance and gave a very captivating rendition. Final scene is going to be Denim in Self-Proclaimed Queen of the North, which turns out to be a little bit more of a gospel finale. And Venom just kind of takes it because it was the part that's left over. She definitely struggles with choreo, and she's not staying center stage at all, and just kind of keeps hopping all over the place. Now, something tells me that she was kind of not on 100% with choreo, and she also seemed very off center to me as far as I'm concerned with the actual performance. But I personally think I might be a little biased because I'm slightly ready for Denim to go. She's been in the bottom a lot, and I do think while she does bring some great looks, I'm having trouble connecting to Denim, and I'm sorry, but I have to be honest because it is my critique. So I'll just be real with that. Notes that she wasn't as confident once everyone came out in the group, and she was kind of swallowed up in her head. And when the dust settles, we learn that Aurora Matrix gets the challenge win for her ballet performance, which definitely agree. Nira and Venus are safe, and Melinda is our low queen, meaning our bottom two, which very so deserved, are Denim and Kiki Ko, who will be lip syncing to 7 Day Fool by Julie Black. And I do think Denim actually has the advantage here because her outfit is a lot more mobile, but something about the way that Kiki is working her dress is actually really captivating, and her old lady makeup is kind of working for me with the song. But Denim definitely was flipping around and hasn't been in the bottom as consistently as Kiki, so even if Denim left, I probably would have a very, very hard argument of putting Kiki in the top four, so I can't really make an argument for her to be saved here. Denim Shantays and unfortunately Kiki Ko leaves as our sixth place queen. Alright, that leads us to episode 8, y'all. Well, only 5 are left. Who will make the season finale? Now, Denim sees himself as the wild card of the group, while Aurora is now the only queen with 2 wins here. Melinda is praised on her journey from being Frenchie to performer, and she's the last vixen left, actually. But it's time for the loved ones visit. And there's a fun mini challenge where the loved ones have to do drag makeup for their new headshot, and a cash prize is given for the winner. And Melinda wins it, which is really sweet because I'm really glad that her and husband get to share something here. We get to the actual maxi challenge, the loved one family makeovers, and we start off here with Venus and Uranus, which is Joanne, Venus's mother. Venus is very proud to be the very first Indigenous queen to make it this far in the competition, and they're going to go with a red carpet Golden Globes look. Venus is initially stressed out because she's never been in the bottom before, and she isn't sure if she has anything to fit her mother in, but it sounds like her mother has always been very supportive and just wants him to do well. Now, they do get a lot of good critiques on the storyline, although I personally didn't see it if they didn't explain it first, but that's just me. I do think they still look good regardless, and it's clear Uranus has an amazing glow up here. Our next couple is Nira and Buffy Nuff, which is Jacob, Nira's fiance. And okay, Nira was saying some stuff earlier about her husband. I was kind of just rolling my eyes. But okay, Nira, he is hot. Now, we learned that Jacob came out as the result of his relationship with Nira, and they recognize there is a lot of man to cover. Now, they go with a warrior storyline. The judges are slightly worried that it might be slightly arts and craftsy, especially since Nira ended up in the bottom of the last design challenge, and the design does end up a little messy. It does come across slightly like fat guy in drag versus red carpet. I do agree with that critique. The outfit is not finished completely and didn't really exaggerate anything or keep it very polished either. Our next couple is Melinda and Conchita Verga, who is Scott, Melinda's partner, which remember they won the challenge from before. And as we learned earlier here, Melinda's partner did just recently recover from a mini stroke. So it's really sweet to see them have a reunion on screen. It sounds like they have actually discussed Melinda's drag persona in the past, since they've been together for 21 years, which is ridiculous. I could better barely stay together with someone for 21 days. 21 years is ridiculous, y'all. Teach me your secrets. Kind of hilarious that Melinda's first reaction is who's going to be looking after the dog now that Scott's here, but still have loved Melinda up to this point. They decided to go with an old money new storyline, and the judges didn't really understand it, and I didn't really understand it either, to be honest. But it was still a very elegant look, even though the makeup is still lacking a little bit, although there is some much noted improvement. Our next couple is Denim and Velvet, who is Cheryl, Denim's mom, and we learned that Denim's mom has actually done Denim's makeup before and actually knows how to sew. So at this point, Denim is very much so ready to get to the finale with a win. It sounds like Denim's mom is very accepting as well too, and has always been his advocate and very protective of him. They're going to go with an opposite storyline, and wow, this turns out really, really good. Definitely gives Britney Justin circa 2000s, and it's actually very creative and pretty. It's very super simple. It is a very simple look, but Denim definitely understands his brand and let his mom shine. Final pair is Aurora Matrix and Supernova Matrix, which is Trinity, Aurora's best friend. And it's actually really sweet because Trinity does bring Aurora a really heartfelt letter from home from her parents that she struggled to have a good relationship with since coming out. Trinity seems like Aurora's ride or die, and was the first person who Aurora painted outside of drag, so it sounds like there could be an advantage here, but the judges do want a huge transformation. And I personally thought they did a good job, but the judges don't really feel like Supernova had any real transformation. So Aurora is a little gutted to have won twice and to slip right at the very end. Could she possibly be lip syncing for her life at the very end? No, because she's just slow. Venus turns out to be safe, and Denim wins the challenge, meaning our bottom two is Melinda Verga and Near Enough. They lip sync to the iconic Carly Rae Jepsen's I Didn't Just Come Here to Dance, and I'm going into this thinking, wow, Melinda is probably doomed, huh? But oh my god, where did this side of Melinda come from? She came so hard. I I I was shocked watching this. This is probably my favorite lip sync of the season. Could go down as one of my favorite lip sync possibly of all time because they both went so hard. But at the end of the day, Nira was kind of giving a little bit more energy towards the song, whereas Melinda was kind of just flipping left and right nonsensically. So I do understand why Nira is saved for the finale. But why couldn't y'all just get Melinda to carry out? Why? Okay, it's fine. She'd gotten so far, so much further than I expected her to go. I expected her to go out round one with that cat suit, but look at her and how far she's gone. And this season really is the story of Melinda Verga. So that leads us into our finale, y'all. Aurora Matrix, Denim, Near Enough, and Venus are our final four. Who will be Canada's next drag superstar. Well, going into the finale, Aurora is the only queen with 2 wins. Everybody else has one, but Venus has also never been in the bottom. Denim and Nira have also bottom once each, but otherwise it's pretty even between all of the queens. We learned that the final Maxi Challenge is their debut singles and will consist of 4 parts, with a sit-down chat with season 3 winner Giselle Lullaby, a Titanic-inspired photo shoot with Giselle after, writing and recording lyrics with pop star vocal coach Nelly Furtado, which is like, what? And learning choreo with Hollywood J. Before we get into the actual critiques of the songs, let me just critique this challenge really quick because after a season of really good challenges, and to the point where it feels like they were really trying to, make diverse content and they put a lot of effort into it, this final challenge didn't feel that way at all. The fact that all 4 girls had basically the same song to work with, while I do get why you would want to do that because it does set them apart, which it does, I think, do ultimately between the challenge here, watching this and just from an entertainment aspect was a real, real, real trouble. Like I was by the time we got to the middle of the second one, I was just tuned out and I did have to kind of step away, come back in the middle of it just because I'm just like really hearing the same song for the 4th time now. Just oof. Like these other finales, they give them different songs, different musics, even if they don't write the songs for them. I kind of wish they would have done that just from an entertainment perspective. I get why they didn't, but again, it, oof, choices. So just to briefly run on through all 4 of them, we start off with Aurora Matrix's Asian Sensation. Now, I did like her choreo a lot, and she does get the benefit of going first, because again, by the end of it, so over this music. Her lyrics were the most catchy, I think, and she had this really fun part where she goes, ta, ta, ha, ha, which is a lot of fun when you get to repeat very, Maya, Maya from Drag Race 16, which we'll get into a little bit later here, probably in a couple months once the season is almost over. But maybe we'll do a mid-season recap, just to kind of touch on that really quick. We do have Denims in the Fantasy, which I do get the lyrics are relevant. Kind of gave me a little bit basic, though, personally for me. But otherwise, the performance was pretty good. It is noted that Denim is a force, but will need a little bit of time to grow, which I do agree. If Denim has a little bit more time to grow into himself and become truly comfortable with their creative mind, I really see Denim coming back in a future season and just kind of slaying it. But for an initial preview here, Denim didn't do bad at all. We also have up next Near Enough, whose song Stampeding Drag Queen, which is like, what? What is this title? I'm already just I'm going back through my notes here reading again. I'm just like Stampede Dragon. What? Okay, anyway. Nira's lyrics are also extremely cliche. She literally says, "I'm here to take that crown, Mama Ru." Yeah, Brooklyn doesn't remember anything. I don't remember anything other than that one around. But I will say she did have the most growth out of everybody. So there is that there for Nira. Now, ending our performances here is Miss Venus, who has the KUNT manifesto. And I will say, out of everybody here, Venus makes this track her own the most. And it sounds actually way different than everybody else's, especially again after the last two. I was just so ready for this to be over, and it kind of again woke me up at the very end. I love her line with the untucked treat, and she's just checking all the boxes for me at this point. So, unsurprisingly, we do get 2 eliminations here, heading into just a final 2 lip sync for the crown. And our final 2 is revealed to be Aurora Matrix and Venus, meaning Near Enough and Denim have been eliminated from the competition, which do agree. I think both of them will be slaying this stage very soon, but do need a little bit more growth. I don't think either of them are completely 100% baked just yet. So that leads our final lip sync between Aurora Matrix and Venus for the crown, or Try by Nelly Furtado, which is like a really good song. and kind of intimidating to do it in front of Nelly Furtado herself. It turns out to be a great lip sync, great song. This final two are fantastic, fantastic performers. They both have had some really great moments throughout, and personally, I can't choose who wins lip sync between the two of them. I don't know if there really is a winner, but again, there's not a loser either. Ultimately, only one of them can win. And when the judges reveal the votes, Brooklyn reveals Canada's next drag superstar is Venus. Going into the finale, I definitely was expecting an Aurora win, but Venus really shined the most throughout this finale. Her music number easily was the strongest in some ways, and the finale could kind of be considered her second win. Also, she was never in the bottom, whereas Aurora was, so even though there might have been some moments where the judges lived for her a little bit more than I did, I can't deny she was the top competitor this season and absolutely deserves her crown. Plus, let's be real here, Aurora is going to be an extremely strong All Stars comeback contestant in the coming years, and so are a lot of these girls. They all have long careers ahead of them. We learn online that Miss Kitten Caboodle is crowned Miss Congeniality, which she definitely deserves. We might have noticed her and Amy's absence following the lip sync battle, as the last three episodes do kind of drag a little bit. I do feel like Melinda Verga, though, brought so much great TV, and the final four were very deserving. Then I didn't mind them just competing at the very end without so much drama. I think the show really stood out in its twists, and the lip syncs were also some of the best in the series. The Ray Jepsen lip sync between Melinda and Mira is going down as one of my favorites. I was just very pleasantly surprised all around with how fun everything felt this season. And for me, Canada's Drag Race 4 really stands out in a franchise with 40 plus seasons. So, but absolutely, absolutely suggest watching Canada's Drag Race 4 if you have not done so already. And with that, that was the season. What were your thoughts? Do you agree with me? Like and subscribe and comment below. Let's get some discussion going on. With that being said, keep sipping that tea. This is Renegade, signing out.